This is a 7.8-kilometer long axis that runs through the old city of Beijing from north to south, which has witnessed the history of the ancient capital city for more than 700 years. The axis consists of 15 elements of heritage composition. Thus, it is also known as the backbone and soul of Beijing's old city. It is the Beijing Central Axis. This July, it was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage list. How an axis can successfully be a World Heritage? Now, let's explore this century-old Beijing Central Axis. You may not be familiar with the Beijing Central Axis itself, but you certainly hear a few of the landmarks along the axis. Let's walk through the axis from end to end. At the northern end of the axis are the Bell Tower and Drum Tower. It then runs south through Wanning Bridge, Jingshan Hill, the Forbidden City, the Upright Gate, the Tian'anmen Gate, the Outer Jinshui Bridges, the Tian'anmen Square Complex, the Zhengyangmen, the Southern Section Road archaeological sites, before terminating at the Yongdingmen Gate at the southern end. The Imperial Ancestral Temple, the Altar of Land and Grain, the Temple of Heaven, and the Altar of the God of Agriculture are located on the east and west sides of the axis. The Beijing Central Axis is exhibiting the ideal order of the Chinese capital. The Wanshan Pavilion on Jingshan Hill is the highest point of the Central Axis. When you climb up to the pavilion and overlook the whole city of Beijing, what appears in front of you is the clusters of palaces with rigorous layout in golden glitter, as well as the stunning scenery composed of shimmering rivers. Why does the Beijing Central Axis exist? It was built in the 13th century and molded in the 16th century. At that time, Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan and ruler of the Mongol Empire, decided to move the capital to Beijing in 1264. Although construction was carried out during the time of an ethnic minority regime, the capital, however, was built in accordance with the Rites of Zhou, a book on organizational theory that dates back over 2,200 years. The records of ritual and music in the Rites of Zhou detailed the regulations for constructing a capital city. The court in the front, the market in the back, the ancestral shrines on the left, and the sacrificial altar on the right. Beijing was constructed following this layout, with the arrangement and functions of the city extending from both sides, all interconnected with the central axis. Although the such axis has existed for a long time, the concept of the Beijing Central Axis was introduced later. The renowned architect Liang Xicheng famously introduced the term Central Axis in his History of Chinese Architecture, completed in 1944. He praised it with great enthusiasm, saying that Beijing's majestic grandeur lies in the scale of this north-south extension, consistent to the end. Over the years, the historic Central Axis still tells a new story of old Beijing. After Beijing's successful bid for the Olympic Games in 2001, the Central Axis was extended northward again and became the axis of the Olympic Park. The National Stadium Bird's Nest was built in the east and the National Aquatic Center Water Cube in the west. Further north, passing through the Olympic Park, we reach the Olympic Forest Park, which is the northernmost point of the Beijing Central Axis extension. After more than 600 years, the Beijing Central Axis was extended by nearly 17 kilometers and shown to the world during the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympics in 2008. The Beijing Central Axis is not really an axis, nor is it a street or simply a collection of buildings. It ties together the past, present and future of the city, and gathers the visions of generations of sages, the essence of Chinese culture, the wisdom of craftsmen, and the lives of countless people. The Beijing Central Axis brings history and the present together, achieving the greatest perpetuation of Chinese civilization.